Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to share a story with you. It's not a fairy tale, but a real-life story about strength, resilience, and the power of the human spirit. It's the story of my friend, Sue. Just a few years ago, Sue had what many would call a perfect life. A great job in a bustling city, a beautiful apartment, and a future that seemed paved with gold. She was a marketing director for a big tech firm, smart, driven, and always 10 steps ahead. But as we all know, life has a funny way of throwing curveballs when you least expect them. The economic downturn hit her industry like a tidal wave. One Monday morning, Sue walked into her office and the atmosphere was heavy. By lunchtime, she was holding a small cardboard box with her personal belongings, her keycard deactivated. The company had downsized and her position was eliminated. Just like that, the life she had meticulously built crumbled. The first few weeks were a blur of shock and denial. She sent out dozens of resumes, networked tirelessly, but the market was frozen. The rejections started piling up, each one a small chip at her confidence. Her savings, which once seemed substantial, began to dwindle at an alarming rate. The city she loved, with its glittering lights and endless opportunities, suddenly felt cold and unforgiving. Sue had to make a tough choice. She packed up her city apartment, said goodbye to her friends, and moved back to her small hometown into the spare room at her parents' house. For a woman who had been so fiercely independent, this felt like a monumental failure. The once confident marketing director was now sleeping in her childhood bed, surrounded by old posters and faded dreams. The days were long and quiet. The shame was suffocating. She'd see old high school classmates at the local grocery store, and they'd ask, "Sue, what are you doing back here?" She'd force a smile and mumble something about taking a break, but inside, she felt like a fraud. She spent her days scrolling through job sites, the glow of the screen her only companion, while the silence of the house amplified her feelings of worthlessness. One afternoon, sitting in the local library to use their free Wi-Fi, she stumbled upon an online forum. It was a community of people who had lost their jobs, sharing their stories and struggles. For the first time in months, Sue didn't feel so alone. She read stories of people who were just like her, talented, hardworking, and blindsided by circumstances beyond their control. Inspired by their courage, Sue started to reevaluate. She couldn't control the economy, she couldn't force a company to hire her, but she could control her own actions. What did she have? She had her skills, her creativity, and a whole lot of time. Her mom was an avid baker, famous in the family for her incredible sourdough bread. Sue had always loved the smell of fresh bread filling the house. An idea sparked. It was small, maybe even a little crazy, but it was something. She asked her mom to teach her everything she knew. So, her days changed. Instead of staring at a computer screen, her hands were covered in flour. She learned about starters, proofing, and the delicate art of scoring the dough. It was difficult, physical work, but it was tangible. She was creating something real. For the first time in a long time, she felt a sense of purpose. She started small. She baked a few extra loaves and offered them to neighbors. They loved it. They told their friends. Soon, people were knocking on her parents' door, asking if they could buy a loaf of Sue's sourdough. She set up a simple table at the local farmer's market on weekends. Her setup was modest, a checkered tablecloth and a hand-painted sign. The first market day, she was terrified. What if no one bought her bread? What if they thought it was silly? But then, the first customer came, and another, and another. By the end of the day, she had sold out. She held the small wad of cash in her hand, and it felt more valuable than any corporate paycheck she had ever received. She had earned this not with a fancy title, but with her own two hands. Her little farmer's market stand became a local hit. People didn't just come for the bread, they came for the story. They came to chat with the friendly woman who had turned a setback into a new beginning. Sue started an Instagram account, posting beautiful pictures of her golden round loaves. She shared her journey, the highs and the lows, with honesty and vulnerability. Her online community grew. People from all over the country started asking if she could ship her bread. The little spare room operation was quickly outgrowing her parents' kitchen. She used the money she'd saved from the market to rent a small commercial kitchen space in town. It was a huge leap of faith. She hired her first employee, a teenager from the neighborhood who was eager to learn. Then another. Sue's sourdough was no longer just a hobby, it was a real, thriving business. She built a website, figured out the logistics of shipping, and watched in amazement as orders poured in. The journey wasn't easy. There were burnt batches, shipping mishaps, and sleepless nights spent worrying about finances. But every challenge was a lesson. Every obstacle was an opportunity to get stronger and smarter. The skills she had learned in her corporate life, marketing, strategy, customer relations, were now being applied to her own dream. She wasn't just a baker, she was an entrepreneur. A couple of years passed. One day, Sue got an email. It was from a major grocery chain. They had seen her story online, tasted her bread through a customer recommendation, and they wanted to talk about a partnership. A partnership to carry Sue's sourdough in their stores across the state. Sue sat there, reading the email over and over, the same way she used to read rejection letters. But this time, her heart wasn't sinking. It was soaring. The journey had come full circle. The corporate world that had once cast her out was now knocking on her door. Not because of her title, but because of the value she had created from scratch. Today, if you walk into many grocery stores, you'll see her bread on the shelves. Her company employs dozens of people from her hometown, revitalizing a part of the local economy. She's not in a high-rise office in a big city. She's in her own bakery in the town she grew up in, still with flour on her apron, but now with a smile that's genuine and a confidence that comes not from a job title, but from within. Sue's story is a powerful reminder that sometimes our greatest setbacks are just setups for our greatest comebacks. Losing her job felt like the end of the world, but it was actually the beginning of her true calling. It forced her to dig deep, to find a strength she never knew she had, and to build a life that was more authentic and fulfilling than the one she had lost. So if you're going through a tough time right now, if you feel lost or like you failed, I want you to think of Sue. Your path might not involve sourdough bread, but the principle is the same. Look at what you have, not what you've lost. Start small, be patient with yourself, and remember that you are more resilient than you think. Your next chapter might just be the best one yet. Thanks so much for listening today. I hope Sue's story brought a little bit of inspiration to your day. If you enjoyed this, please give the video a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, take care and keep moving forward.